8 knockouts, 7 submissions, 2 decisions. Is Charles Jourdain any good? It's quite hard to believe that Charles Jourdain, a guy with limitless potential, has only managed a 2-fight win streak in the UFC. That just seems incorrect, but that is the truth. It doesn't really paint a complete picture of what he's capable of when you look at the level of competition and how exactly he's been getting beat. But you really need to get into the nitty-gritty of Jourdain's career to really understand why he hasn't hit the rankings yet. And you'll just have to trust me on this one. Not all Canadians look like this, okay? We don't live in igloos, we don't take dog sleds to school. And look, all I'm saying is that I think very few high testosterone French Canadians exist, but the ones that do go pretty hard, okay? We got Charles Jourdain, Olivier Aubin-Mercier for the hardcores out there, and of course GSP. First things first, here comes a bit of glaze. Jourdain has some of the sickest tattoos in the UFC, in my humble opinion. Big ol' pirate back piece, on display, crazy aura. And look, I know tattoos can be pretty personal, but this is where it's at. Considering most fighters are just covered in scribbles half the time, this is pretty impressive. This adds to his stock. So, story time. Jourdain came into the UFC as a lightweight pipsqueak, not even going through a proper weight cut, and was at a big physical disadvantage. But this has always allowed Charles to have a decent speed edge on guys so he can light them up with his creative striking and look for kill shots. But his career really blew up when he was cast as a sacrificial lamb against Doo-Ho Choi, the Korean Superboy, who at the time was highly touted, sort of getting the Darren Till treatment, and they pushed him too fast. They gave him Cub Swanson and Jeremy Stevens, fights where he took a ton of damage, and then he got Jourdain next. And Jourdain at the time was really Canada's only hope at a fun highlight reel finisher, and our boy Jourdain goes in there and just starches Doo-Ho Choi and really stole a lot of his hype. But we would soon discover after a couple close fights that Jourdain was simply just too small for the weight class to have long-term success, at least. He had competitive fights with Shane Burgos and Sean Woodson. Those proved especially challenging when you compare their physiques side by side. I mean, just look at Sean Woodson here, guys. What a weight bully alien he is. So after being outsized and bonked by the surging Gene Silva, Jourdain finally transitioned to the bantamweight division, going through a proper weight cut finally, and he's sort of found his true calling at 135. And he's learned some harsh lessons at 145, and he's really bringing his fight IQ down to the bantamweight division as well, and so far so good. He's got 2 finishes. His guillotine keeps on getting better and better, and we got to see him basically deliver a double finish at UFC Vancouver last weekend when he flying kneed crafty Davey Grant right in the chops. And if I haven't sold you on Charles Jourdain already, his brother Louis Jourdain just cooked in Dana White's Contender Series, and will also be going through this journey alongside him in the UFC. I think best case scenario, we see sort of this sibling rivalry of like who can catch more bodies, and these two dudes really are going to motivate each other. So Jourdain hardly needs an introduction if you know about him already, but Canada needs more action fighters, period. I'm still dying to make a video on Mandel Nalo because he's just such a wild card in this sport. 36-year-old Mandel Nalo, friends with Sam Hyde. Like, this dude just has the deepest, craziest lore. We're going to do a video on him as well, but Jourdain, we're going to go in deep on Jourdain here, guys. Buckle up. Look, he's always been the guy holding it down for Canada. He's been one of our only action fighters for a long time, so I'll do my best. He deserves massive props in this video. Here we go. Charles Jourdain, a born showman with endless heart who sets traps like a real crafty vet. Strike accuracy, 49%. Strikes landed per minute is 5.4. One thing I love about Jourdain is that he will take risks on anyone, even on stilts. Sean Woodson or Gene Silva, who's a crazy power puncher and who had like 30 pounds on him in the fight. Doesn't matter. Jourdain will test his striking against anyone. I love that about him. Strikes absorbed per minute, 4.2. Takedown average of 0.3. Submission average of 0.6. Jourdain's front choke is getting very, very good. He seems like he's really learned a lot from being, sort of taken down, hauled around, laid on up at featherweight. And he sort of worked this power guillotine into his game, and he just got Davey Grant with it. Takedown accuracy, 21%. He's a striker first. Strike defense, 57%. Takedown defense, 47%. And so here's the proof. Jourdain has some nice jits, but he's been shut down in some strength-based positions. But pretty average grapplers sort of have their hands full with him. If you leave your neck out there, Jourdain's coming for it. Knockdown average of 0.5 and an average fight time of 11 minutes, 18 seconds. Strengths, creativity, footwork, opportunistic. Once he takes some time playing with space and sort of feeling out his opponent, gets hit a few times, feels his opponent's power, then he sort of melds his creativity into the fight, blends everything together nicely, starts to look for like kill shot opportunities. If he sees openings for damage, he sort of just says fuck it and goes for it. Weaknesses: spotty takedown defense, bad game plans. Charles often struggles into, I guess, high IQ vets and guys with sort of an experience edge on him in the UFC. I won't just chalk it up to being at a size disadvantage. He's come in with some interesting game plans, like trying to headhunt against Sean Woodson. I would have loved to see a finish in the Kron Gracie fight, but he couldn't get that done. Was sort of an overthinker in that fight and really neglected doing proper damage to Kron Gracie that like we saw Bryce Mitchell do. His best performance is against Davey Grant. Davey Grant gives everybody problems, so this wasn't just some unk getting fed to Jourdain here. Real fans knew this would be competitive, odds makers knew this would be competitive. But in this fight, Jourdain looked massively leveled up. He just had that finisher's confidence to him. He took everything that Davey had for him, some tough kicks, but not enough. Jourdain made really intelligent reads in this one, and the finish he capitalized on was honestly a thing of beauty. Like, he was looking for that flying knee a couple times, like 1 or 2 minutes into the fight, and he's already looking to set up a flying knee on Davey Grant. And I love that he didn't just try to pot shot and sort of look technical against Davey Grant. He prioritized a finish, which is what a lot of people don't do against Davey Grant. He's got that veteran savvy and crazy durability, but you know what? Jourdain risks it all, goes for a kill shot, and it massively paid off. That's a performance bonus. And Grant somehow didn't just go out cold from this nosebreaker flying knee and began wrestling up like a savage. Jourdain's patented front choke was there waiting for him. And I do hope Davey Grant goes nowhere because he's such a staple unranked contender in this division. We honestly need him to stick around and really test these unranked prospects. Like, he's arguably beat Yanez, Daniel Marcos, and has a win over Chito Vera in the past, so Davey Grant should stick around for as long as he can. I do think the durability is a bit compromised after that one, but yeah, all props to Grant. Hope he goes nowhere. Most fun, pantsing Lando Venata. This one's just cruel, right? Like, those who know how dirty Jourdain did Lando Venata here, did he get cut off this loss? If so, I can't think of a worse way to be cut from the UFC. This one was in the crusty old Apex facility, and even still, I get so much secondhand embarrassment for this loss. My boy Venata here, you know, who I got respect for, nearly TKO'd Tony Ferguson back in the day, almost fractured the timeline. So I respect dude. If this happened in a sold-out arena, though, Venata's career would be no more, okay? Choked out and pantsed simultaneously. And again, these guys leave their necks out there. Jourdain is there to capitalize on it with a front choke. And all the signs were there all along that Jourdain's been undersized. Lando Venata was an undersized lightweight, and he's in there looking big against Jourdain. Like, not to glaze too heavy, but Jourdain, I could really see punching up these bantamweight rankings. I know there's some crafty wrestlers in there that are probably just going to get him down, but it's good to know that he has that crazy clutch guillotine to maybe get him through a few matchups. Like, I want to see maybe a Ricky Simone to see if he can get past like sort of an unranked grappler. Ricky Simone just flatline Javid Basharat, so maybe we shouldn't make that one. But basic strikers who are near or around Jourdain's size, he's just going to chew him up badly. He sent Venata packing with his shorts off in this one. Nasty work, put Venata on suicide watch after that one, pantsed him in front of the world stage. Jourdain's got a lot of them, but I would say that is his most fun win. Future matchups, Rob Font or Marlon Chito Vera. This may seem like a bit out of nowhere or unrealistic, but honestly, why not? Rob Font is about to go on his Calvin Kattar L streak of doom, so I think this is a good matchup. That would look so sweet on Jourdain's resume too, another longtime bantamweight vet. Font is notoriously hard to put away, even in his Unk evolution, so I think this one would be fun and competitive. What are we thinking? Marlon Chito Vera, if he wants to continue his career with the UFC, take a Jourdain matchup, or if he thinks that's too risky, you need to take a can. Like, you need to get momentum back. I believe that's 4 fights in a row now that Chito has dropped. But I would imagine he has a really good contract with the UFC, so it's probably going to take a couple more losses before, you know, Uncle Dana cracks his knuckles and starts to have that type of conversation with Vera. And Jourdain would accept these guys in a heartbeat. He's looking for striking matchups. That's where he shines. He's already turned down Bryce Mitchell on social media, and he called out Marcus McGee after the Vancouver win. So I think you make that fight Do you sort of test Jourdain into wrestlers? You can. We've seen him neutralized before. I think you just give him striking matchups and see how long he can last and how far he can take this at 135. But what do you think? I thought Marcus looked great against Petr Yan, kept the numbers close, probably going to level up big off that performance, and come out looking sharper in the future, so good for him. Also, check out Charles Jourdain on social media. This man is hilarious. He has no filter. I don't know how he carries sponsorships. He's one of these guys that makes his ad reads these really great comedy skits. I can't even begin to describe the type of stuff he says on his Instagram, so it's best you just go check it out. I will shill for this man until he reaches the top of the sport and goes mainstream. I might just be the biggest Charles Jourdain fan out there. We've been waiting for a Canadian finisher to really rise up and perform, and he just did that at UFC Vancouver. If you got Fight Pass, go check out the finish. Okay, that's it. As always, thank you guys for watching. Drop your favorite Charles Jourdain moment down below.